From toy to something representing a model of the real thing.
Well, bugger me, it's not raining, so I'm going to film the intro to this bit outside, wearing a scruffy cap, and as anyone who knows me, this cap's nowhere near scruffy enough.
So this is really a case of look before you buy. I don't really keep an eye on what's going on with Ready to Run, but I did spot these, and they are supposedly Eastern region 5-plank wagons from Hornby. Well, all looks good so far, doesn't it? So, out of the box, an unboxing. And what we can see is this Hornby wagon is the old Airfix wagon. What that means is that I have paid full modern prices for an ancient wagon. Boo! So obviously, step one is remove the chassis. If anybody wants this, send me an email to ilikeclunkychassiswithsteamrollerwheels.com. Wow! But the body itself, yeah, it's good. I mean, the door bangs are moulded onto the body. They'll be going. That was how it was attached to the chassis. No point in saving that either. And although the bauxite is nice, as I say, those letters shouldn't have a black background in the interior. Not good. It's quite a nice representation of bauxite. Problem is, it's an unfitted wagon. So, with all the erroneous bits removed and a bit of thinning work done, I used paint stripper to remove all the paint, and then you're left with a very nice body. Although these mould hole things there, all four of them, I don't know how I'm going to get rid of them, but I'll manage it some way. So the next step is to add the underframe, and I have various sole bars left over from past kits, etc. I don't know why I've got so many, but I have. So we have sole bars and we have buffer beams. At the moment, these haven't really been touched apart from cleaned up. So what we need to do now is attach the sole bars and buffer beams to the body. And if we were to just try and stick them straight on, I'm sure you can imagine it'd be a bit of a nightmare aligning them. So what I do is get some 40 thou plastic card, measure it out, and we shall add that there so the sole bars have something to buff up against. But we have to have a few considerations before we do that, because if we were to just leave it as a straight piece of plastic card, then our brakes, which we made earlier, would sit too low against the wheels. So we need to trim this to ensure the brake rigging and everything else can fit in, plus I should put a hole in the middle to add some weight to it. Well, that was nonsensical, wasn't it? Add a hole to add weight? No. Cut a hole and add lead to it. So, I use a vernier gauge and the brake rigging, work out the distance in from each side, and then we shall mark it up so we know what we can remove. Not the neatest cuts ever, but it'll suffice. And because it's going on to, I guess, RTR plastic rather than use mech, I have used mech. And so, onto the sole bars. And these ones come from Parkside kits. They are spares. Now, with these, and we have two different types of axle boxes, so I need to see which ones we used on the prototype I am trying to base it on. An important part in doing this is to find a prototype to model and make sure that what you're going to build is realistic. Now, I've already done one of these with that old Airfix one, and I made it a class brake version. I wanted a Morton braked version, and not knowing a huge amount about wagons at all, I rely on sites such as Paul Bartlett's website, which just has a plethora of wagons and photos, and you can get a good idea on there what you want to model. Now with these, even if I was building the Parkside kit as it came, I would clean them up. So, as you can see, and by all the little bits there, I've done quite a lot of filing to smooth them off, make them level and straight, or whatever you want to say. I just think it improves the look of them. Also, with these, I will be adding etched brass V-hangers, so I have filed in a bit of a recess there so they're not too far back. I'll then glue them on and then remove the plastic one. I'll leave the plastic one on while the glue's setting so I can align it properly. The other item I'm working on at this point is the buffer beams. As you can see, I'm drilling a hole straight through the middle, and that will act as a guide, because what I will do, I will remove the buffers from these and replace them with ones from Lanarkshire, white metal ones, which are much nicer. You see, the problem with the ones that come with the kits is A, they've got horrible mould marks on them, B, the shafts are a bit thin, and C, they're incredibly flimsy. I've had to go back and replace the ones on past built kits with ones from LMS because they've just broken and gone missing. So now I just start off with them. Another thing I do at this point is I remove the plastic tie bar. The reason being that they are a bit flimsy and a bit brittle, so they can either bend and just look terrible. Obviously it's a tie bar, it should be under torsion, and they snap as well, and when they do, it just looks awful. A brass one will be going on instead at some point. Next step, glue the V-hangers onto the sole bars, and I'm using Power Bond, which apparently is super mega wonderful, as the lady at the show told me when she glued two bits of leather together. So now, drilled out the buffer beams, reaming them bit by bit to the right size to take the Lanarkshire buffers, and you can also see little etched brass plates for the coupling hooks. Plastic V-hangers now trimmed off. So there we go. Now the sole bars and buffer beams have been glued on and weight added. Riveting stuff this, isn't it? So the brake rigging has been made up from Bill Bedford etches, which come with no instructions whatsoever, which is nice. I didn't film myself putting these together, because basically if I had, I wouldn't be able to use the footage anyway, because of the amount of obscenities I let out. I really am not the world's best solderer. So next step is to add the brake rigging. As you can see, that's been glued in, and the crossbar is there just to basically make sure it's in place. Wheels seem to spin okay. That one just needs a bit of adjustment and filing. That'll be done when it's all set. The action never stops in this video. I've now got the crossbar in, both sets of brake rigging, the vacuum cylinder and the actuation lever, which will obviously attach to the cylinder. And just like that, we now have the brake levers on as well. And here we have, paint obviously aside, the finished model. I added door bangs from the spares, and the tie bar is basically brass L shape super glued on. From this to this, the only original piece being the body. Now maybe you can't spot a difference or don't care about the difference, but I do. I'm happy with how that's come out. Now hopefully you enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing it. Yes, it's cost me a fortune, but what I've gained is the enjoyment of actually getting on with some modelling rather than getting something out of a box and plonking it on the track. So next time, well, hopefully I'll be able to do something else other than wagons. See you soon. Bye bye.